Okay, so once you have reached miamirealtors.com, just look for the Miami Gateway. It's right in the center of the screen. Go ahead and click on it. It will ask you to log in using your license and password. If this is your first time logging in, your user ID and your password are both your license number. And that's going to be just the numbers, not including the letters. If you've already gone through the setup process, you'll log in and see a screen that looks like mine. Now, for those of you that may be following along and logging in for the first time, you will be asked to answer some security questions. You'll have to digitally sign that you're in agreement with our rules and regulations, and then it will prompt you to create your own password. We do have a chat feature, so if you have any questions, feel free to go ahead into the chat and write those out. And what I'll do is at the end of the presentation, I'll go back and I'll look over the questions and review anything that you might have gotten stuck on. So this is Matrix 101, and once you've launched your dashboard or you're in your gateway of products, go ahead and look for the Matrix icon. It's usually in the first or second row. Go ahead and click on it and it will launch Matrix. So we have been updating our MLS with these different notifications, these on-screen news and alerts. And this is letting you know, for those of you that have any listings that are temporary off market, usually after 30 days, it reverts back to active. But given the situation and the circumstances, we are extending that from 30 to 90 days. So that's what that's explaining. I'm going to go ahead and at the bottom right, it says read later or I've read this. And if you needed to see it again, on the left-hand side where it says news and alerts, you can go ahead and click and you can relaunch it and read it again. So once you do launch Matrix, if you're logging into Matrix for the first time or launching it for the first time, it will ask you to agree to their terms of service. And then once you have agreed to their terms of service, you'll see a screen that looks like mine. So along the top in blue, you have a floating menu bar. And as you hover over each of the tabs, you'll see the contents drop down beneath them. Okay, ending with a little welcome and your name. Beneath that, you have the speed bar, which we cover in another class. It's meant to allow you to look things up quickly, hence the name speed bar. And to the right of that, you have your recent searches. Recent searches are any searches that you've completed in the last 7 days. And of course, we can save searches, which is one of the things we'll be doing this morning. Beneath that, you have all these different boxes. These are called widgets, and you can actually customize this a little. So what you can do is click on them and drag and move them around so that you can keep them in whatever order you prefer. And that also allows you to keep things that you use often at the top. Okay, but you can just click and drag. The other thing that you can do with your widgets to modify them is most widgets have two small buttons in the top right corner. There's an arrow, which is meant to open and close the widget. And then there's an X, which removes the widget from the screen, but it doesn't delete it. It just removes it. So what I could do is click on that X. If I'm not going to use that widget, it would get removed. And then at some point, if I wanted or needed that widget back, or maybe you accidentally closed it and you didn't mean to, somewhere on the right-hand side, unless you've repositioned it, there's a widget titled Additional. And anything that you have closed out or removed would be listed under Additional. So all you would have to do is, let's say I wanted my search options back, my search widget, I should say. I would go ahead, click on it, and drag it out of the additional box, and it reopens the widget. So again, you can kind of reposition these however you'd like. You can open and close them, and that way you can make it more your own. So that home screen is customizable. So because this is Matrix 101, there are a few things I'd like to review with you in the Help tab, and we're going to start there first. Once we're done with the Help tab, we'll set up your profile, including your header and footer, your email signature. We'll set up your notifications so that you can receive an email or a text message whenever your customers do something with the listings that you are emailing them. We're going to run a search. I'll show you how to save that search, how to email results, and how to email reports, because I will show you an example of what the customer sees when they open the results you send them. And there's quite a bit that they can do in that portal that they have access to. And some people might not be comfortable with it. So we have a PDF report we can send them instead. So let's go ahead and get started with the Help tab. So along the dark blue or darker blue menu bar, you're going to see almost all the way at the end an option that says Help. Go ahead and click on Help. Now in the Help section, we're not going to review everything. I just wanted to point out a few things. On the left-hand side, you have your index, your little table of contents, and there is a search field. So you can go ahead and type in whatever it is you're looking for. But the few things I wanted to point out to you were the data input forms. So if you go ahead and you click on data input form, when it opens up, the only option you have is Miami paper input forms. Go ahead and click on that. And these are PDF versions of the fields that are required when you enter a listing. So I just wanted to go ahead and go through each of these and just discuss those property types really quickly with you, because these are the same property types we need to be mindful of when we're searching. So this is important to know when you're adding a listing, and it's also important to know so that you know where to search for certain listings. So I'm going to skip the first one for now, and I'm going to discuss the rest of these. I'm going to go ahead and click on RE1 single family mobile homes. And this is a PDF of all the fields that could be entered with a single family or mobile home that's for sale. So when you are the listing agent, this is a great note-taking tool because there are so many fields and so much information. It's kind of hard to remember what's required and what's not. So this is a great way for you to go ahead and write down everything that you need and then sit down and add it in digitally. So there is a class for that. It's called Add Edit, Maintaining Your Listing. And you would go through and digitally add in the information. So this form doesn't actually add the listing for you. You're not going to scan this. This is just a great way for you to jot everything down, entirely optional. And this is a great way to just kind of make sure that you have all of the required fields that you're going to need to add the listing into Matrix. So I'm going to go ahead and close this PDF. And when you do have a listing, to add it, you would go to the Add Edit button that's in the top menu bar. And like I said, there's an entire class for that as well. So RE1 are your single family and mobile homes that are for sale. And again, it's important to know these property types because they are also categorized this way in the searches. So these are just your single family mobile homes for sale. Your RE2 are going to be your condos and townhouses that are for sale. Your RIN is residential income, and residential income is a duplex, triplex, or fourplex that is for sale. So the entire duplex, triplex, or fourplex. Residential rental is going to be residential properties that are being listed as rentals, or when you're searching for those rentals, and that would be single family and condos and townhouses. RLD is residential land. So this is just land that's being listed and it's zoned for residential purposes. CLD is commercial land. So that's your commercial, business, agricultural, and industrial land. And when we're talking about land, that's just land. COM is commercial improved. And so that would be commercial properties. It would be buildings with 5 or more units, 5 or more apartments. It would be warehouses, retail spaces, office space, combination spaces. After COM, which is your commercial, you have BUS, which is business. That is a business that's for sale. So someone starts up a business and they want to go ahead and sell it after a few years, you can go ahead and list it. And we're talking about just the business. Where that business is located might not even belong to that person. There are auction listings, seller opt-out, and permission to advertise forms. A lot of these have been updated, and you would see them on miamirealtors.com/MLS. And then the last form that I want to review with you is actually the first one, and that's the MLS status change form. Any change to your listings when you're the listing agent need to be documented. So when it goes into the system, it's active. And if you receive an offer, that status has to change. It's no longer active, it's pending, or it's active with contract. And so all of that needs to be documented. You need to go ahead and let people know that the status has changed. But that form is meant to document the change and meant to document that everybody involved knew, your broker, your seller, etc. This also includes changes to the price as well. So keep that in mind. All right. Back to your content on the left-hand side. You have some training guides and some videos from Matrix, from CoreLogic, which is the company that runs Matrix. You have Matrix support. If you click on Matrix support and then you click on the option that says support, you'll see that they have a 1-800 number and they're available 7 days a week. Obviously on the weekends, they'll close a little earlier, but they're available every day of the week. You have everything from search to realist is basically frequently asked questions for each of those topics. And then you have area maps. So I wanted to point out to you something that's on the Fort Lauderdale area map. So go ahead and click on area maps and then click on Fort Lauderdale. And what I wanted to point out were these out of area numbers. Every property that gets listed has an area number and it's a required field. But sometimes you might be asked if you can list or sell properties that are outside of our MLS, and you can. So our MLS is technically Miami-Dade, Broward, Palm Beach, Martin, and St. Lucie. Your license is for the state of Florida. So you could list and sell or participate in a transaction for any property that's in the state of Florida. But you could also list properties that are outside of our MLS and outside of the state of Florida. And when you are asked for the required area number, you would use these. Just keep in mind that if you are going to list a property that is outside of the state, you cannot sell it unless you have a license in that state or in that country. So keep that in mind. At that point, I would refer you to speak to your broker so that you can discuss things like referral fees and how that works. But you would use these area numbers. So if it's in the state of Florida, but outside of the 5 counties I mentioned, it's 5940. If it's in the islands or the Caribbean, it's 5950. If it's in the United States, but it's outside of the state of Florida, it's 5960. And it's outside of the country and outside of the Caribbean, it's 5970. Okay. Now, whether or not you get to add listings and edit them depends on your broker. Some brokers allow their agents to add and edit their own listings, while others do not. Other offices might have an admin assistant or some sort of listing manager that goes ahead and does everything for the office. And that, again, it depends on your broker. So once we're done with the help section, we're going to go ahead and set up your profile. So what I'd like for you to do is hover your mouse over my matrix and then go ahead and click on my information. Okay, so just hover your mouse on my matrix and click on my information. So in this section, you have different tabs. One for your information, your header and footer, your CMA cover sheet, your signature, your agent webpage, and your portal profile. So your information is your contact information, basically, and it's whatever you supplied on your membership application. We went ahead and uploaded it into the system for you. Some of these have override options. So for example, if your first name, you prefer to change it and go by some sort of nickname like I do, you could go ahead and on the right-hand side where it says override, clicking or checking that off allows you to then enter information into that field. Please keep in mind that your last name always has to appear as it does on your license. So you have your options here for your first name, your nickname, your middle name, if you'd like to include any of that. You cannot override your last name. You can override your full name, but that's for those of you who'd like to list any certifications, designations, or additional education that you have. So for example, in my case, I have my name, comma, PSA, and that's because I earned the certification for the pricing strategy advisor, and I wanted to go ahead and add that in. So as you get those certifications and designations, you're going to want to do the same, and that's what that field of full name is for. Your public email address is whatever email address you supplied on your membership application. And if that was a personal email and you would prefer to use another email for business purposes, you can overwrite it here. However, the original email will still appear as the sender. So to completely overwrite it, you would need to email our membership department and you would need to let them know. And I'll be sure to leave all of this information in the chat for you at the end of the presentation. After your email, you have your title of employment, you have your public contact number, cell phone, pager, fax. This is your basic contact information. You have your office, which you cannot modify. So if at any point in time you were to transfer from that office to another one, there's a process. You make sure that it's been updated in DBPR. You let us know, we'll go ahead and update it in our system. And then at the bottom, you have your tagline, your additional info, your website, and your suffix. All of that is optional. Make sure that you click on save at the bottom and save whatever you've changed. And you can always come back and modify this in the future. So it's not limited in that sense. And so if you wanted to go back in here after we're done with our webinar and keep working on it, you absolutely can. After information, you have your header and footer. Your header and footer appears at the top of your agent webpage, which we will also set up this morning. It appears at the top of the client's portal when they are looking at their listings, the listings that you sent them. And it can also appear on reports that you generate in the system. So to modify this, the first thing that they give you the option of modifying is the banner image. So you have two selection options here. You can either select from the images they have available, or you can upload your own custom banner. If you'd like to review what the system has to offer, you can go ahead and click on select a different banner image / theme. And you'll see the stock images that they have offered you in Matrix. Once you find your preferred image, you'll notice that each one on the left-hand side has a radio button. And that radio button is for you to select your banner. So you can go ahead and click on that circle, that button on the left-hand side once you've found the image you'd like to use. And once you have selected it, you can go ahead and at the bottom, you'll see a blue button that says preview. You can go ahead and click on preview and it will save your selection and allow you to finish modifying your banner. So I'm going to click on preview and we're back to this original screen. After you've selected your banner or uploaded your own banner, you have the choice of adding your photo. If you would not like to add your photo, you click on no photo. If you would like to, you click on use custom photo and you'll see a hyperlink beneath it. Mine says change photo, yours should say add or upload photo. Branding is going to be using the information that we just updated in the last tab, and it's going to go ahead and give you those options so that you can select what you'd like on your banner. So I'm going to select my name, my office, my cell phone, and my email. The order in which you select each of these and the order in which you see them here is the order in which they appear on the actual banner. Okay, and I'm assuming some of you are clicking on it, so I just wanted to give you a few seconds. Your colors are assigned based on the image that you choose, and if you prefer to change those colors for those fonts, you can go ahead and use your custom colors and you can modify that font color. Your print header. Sometimes there's a slight delay between what you've done at the very top with your header and that banner and what appears here in the print header. It's just a preview of what this header will look like on a PDF report. So the banner at the top is rather large and that's the way it appears on web pages. But when you generate a report, it's going to look a little smaller. So this is just a preview. It's not meant for you to edit. And if there is a difference between this preview and what you did at the top, once you save it, just give it a few minutes and it should catch up. You also have the option of adding in a print footer. And this is only for your reports. And what it does is it'll go ahead and put a line or a bar across the bottom of your report, just to kind of signal that your report has come to an end. That's the end of the PDF. You can choose yes or no. So if you don't want one, you can just say no and remove it. If you do want one, you have the same branding options that we saw at the top with the header. And you can just go ahead and either repeat your information or maybe put your information at the top and the office at the bottom. It's up to you. And then you have your colors. So again, you can modify those colors, or you can just leave the defaults that came with whatever header you chose. Okay, and then at the bottom, of course, you have a save option. So make sure you save whatever you've done. And you can always come back and finish modifying it or modify it further. After your header and footer, you have your CMA cover sheet. The CMA cover sheet is the information that will appear on the first page of your CMA. CMA stands for Comparative Market Analysis. It's usually the report you generate for a listing presentation. So this is all of your information, and you can override plenty of things here, because if you'd like, you can just leave it as simple as possible with maybe just your name, your office, and your phone number. Or you can leave everything. It's up to you. Now, on the left, for those of you who haven't modified this yet, on the left, you're going to see a silhouette or a cutout of two people shaking hands. And unless you go in and you modify this and upload another image, that silhouette will appear on your reports. And I know most people would prefer to have another image there. So you can upload your logo, your office logo, or you can upload your picture. Again, it's really up to you, but I would recommend you change it so that it is something that you prefer and not a default image the system has. All right. So once we're done with the CMA cover sheet, remember to click on save at the bottom to save whatever you've done. And let's move on from the cover sheet to the email signature. So go ahead and click on email signature. I'm going to go ahead and remove a couple of things from mine, because what we get asked most often is how to add in hyperlinks and how to add in an image. So in this section, you're going to go ahead, you're going to click into this field, and you are going to type out whatever it is you would like to appear in your email signature. And this is the signature attached to any email, any report, any auto email generated from Matrix. So usually they just put your name in here by default. You can actually click in here. You can type in whatever you'd like. You can even change the font. So you have a couple of different options here. You can change the size, the color. So in the first row, you have all your cut, copy, and paste options, as well as your undo and redo options. You also have your linking options, which I'm going to show you how to use in a couple of seconds, as well as adding an image, which I will also show you in a few seconds. You can add in a table. You can add in a horizontal line. You can add in a symbol if you need, like the registered trademark. So for example, the word realtors is registered, so maybe I need to add in that little registered trademark. I'm going to go ahead and click on that symbol and add that in. Okay, so this allows you to add in special symbols if your name has an accent. You also have in the second row your bold, italicized, strike through options, your numbered list, bulleted list, your indentation options, your font, font size, font color, background color. So we get asked often when I'm doing this in a live face-to-face class, how did I add in the office logo and how did I add in links to my social media platforms? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to do those two things. To add an image, what the system does is it will take the image that you used on your header and the image that you used on the CMA cover sheet, and it allows you to select from those two to add them into your signature. So I had my picture on the header and I had the office logo in the cover sheet. So those are my two options. Once you have uploaded them into those two, you can, in the first row, click on the icon to add an image. Once the pop-up appears on the right where it says select image, you're going to click. And here's the picture that I had uploaded on my header. And here is the logo that I uploaded on my CMA cover sheet. I'm going to go ahead and choose the logo. Here's a preview. And at the bottom right, it says OK in green. I'm going to click on that button. And there it is. Okay, so I'm going to do that one more time. You're going to make sure to click wherever you'd like to add the logo. In the first row, you click on the image option. In this pop-up on the right-hand side, click on the button that says Select Image. Choose your image, and at the bottom right, click on the green button that says OK. Now, to add in a hyperlink, I'm going to go ahead and just put this down here so that you guys can see it a little bit better. On the hyperlink, what you are going to do is type out or write whatever you'd like to say, whatever you would like to link. And so if I wanted to create a link to my Facebook business page, I'm going to put Facebook. The same for Instagram, for Twitter. I said visit my website. That's a whole phrase that's linked to my website. What you would do is once you've written out the word or phrase, you are going to highlight it with your mouse. And again, in that first row, you have a little cluster of 2 buttons that look like links or staples. You're going to click on the first one. And where it says URL, you are going to supply the URL or the link to that website, that social media platform. Once you have written it out, or you can copy and paste it, you click OK. You'll notice that Facebook is now blue and underlined, so the hyperlink has been created. So again, we're going to highlight the word or phrase. We are going to, in that first row, click on the link option. And then you are going to either type it in, or if you have it open in another tab, just go ahead and copy and paste it in here. When you are done supplying the URL, you click on OK. The word will change colors and be underlined, and that'll let you know it's been hyperlinked. Okay, so it's really easy. And if you don't have social media, we do have a social media series, and I just uploaded those videos, so you can check them out. There is a 4-part series, and 3 of the 4 videos have already been uploaded. The 4th video will be uploaded this week, so you'll have those social media videos. So if you haven't created your social media for business, definitely go ahead and do that, especially now. And start using that to find new customers. Start using that and telling your friends and family to share it. A lot of business comes from referrals, but I would definitely recommend that you get your social media for business set up. Okay, when you're done with your signature, go ahead and click on Save at the bottom. And I'm going to skip over the email signature from there to the portal profile. I'm going to skip agent webpage for a second. And again, I'm going to jump into the portal profile because there are certain things that we do here in the portal profile that we can go ahead and insert into the agent webpage. So I'd like to show you an example of the client portal. So it's what the customer sees when they open the results that you send them. So give me just one second. I'm going to go ahead and open one up. Okay, so this is an example I had saved in the system, and I like to show members what the customer sees. So I emailed this customer 5 listings. They opened their email and they have a link. They're not going to see those 5 listings in the contents of the email. They're going to see a link, and when they click on the link, it will open a private portal that only that customer can see. From here, the customer sees on the right-hand side the 5 listings I sent them. They also see the 5 listings on the map on the left. They can click on any of these listings, and they would be able to see all the listing information, all the photos. Okay, here are all the listing details. They are never going to see the listing agent. As long as they are staying within the client portal, they won't see that information. Now they can also go ahead and add a note. So it could be just observations that they make about the listing. It could just be a note for you, a question they have. So they can go ahead and leave a note. Now, if they go back to the results, the customer can also click on a heart with each listing and save it as a favorite if they really liked it, save it as a possibility if they're on the fence, and they can discard the listing. So if they don't like it, they're basically rejecting it. They can, aside from viewing whatever you have sent them, they can run their own search. So where it says start a new search, your customer can actually search the MLS on their own. Again, never seeing the listing agent. They can save those searches that they run in the platform. They can see everything that they've favorited, marked as a possibility or rejected. They can see all the listings you've sent them where it says messages. And they can see more information about you where it says my agent. If at any point in time your customer gets stuck or has any questions, I would recommend a couple of things. I recommend that you create yourself as a contact so that you can send yourself results and you can click around the client portal yourself. So that can help you when your customer needs assistance. But also there's a little help tab on the right hand side that has some directions and some instructions and even some videos for your customer. So if they get a little overwhelmed and they don't know what to do here, you can walk them through it and you can also point them to the help section. So the tab or the option that says my agent, this is what we're about to set up now. This is basically a little profile about you that you can go ahead and insert some information into. And again, this is a client portal. So the only person who sees it is that client. As long as they have listings that you've sent them, they can go into the client portal and interact with all of this. So we're going to go back to Matrix, and portal profile is what they see when they click on my agent. You can add a photo. Okay, so if you click on the word, it opens up that section so that you can upload or edit the content. You can create a portal greeting. And the reason that they're giving you English and Spanish is because the portal is available for the customer in English and Spanish. And you need to provide the English and Spanish versions. So Matrix isn't going to translate this for you. Okay, so again, Matrix does not provide the translation. If you write something and you would like it to appear in Spanish, you have to also supply that information in Spanish. Okay, and in class, I always say this, if you don't know what to write, feel free to take a picture of this little blurb that I have written here. You don't need to write something very long. You don't need to complicate anything. You can keep it simple, but you're more than welcome to take a picture of this and go ahead and use this. Aside from your portal greeting, you can actually include a little inventory slideshow. I recommend that you add your active listings and your office active listings. So even when you don't have active listings, there's still something that would get populated because your office always has active listings. If you have a video, as long as it's uploaded to YouTube, you can copy and paste the link to that video, and then you can go ahead and title it in English and or Spanish. It could be a video of you, of a listing, of a development. As long as it's on YouTube and it's public, you're going to take that link, copy and paste it in here, give it a title, and you're good to go. And then lastly, you have your contact information. Now, your contact information has the same drop downs that you saw previously for your header and footer, except here you have more space. So in those sections for the header, I think you have space for 5 items. And in the footer, I think you have a space for 4. Here you have pretty much double that so that you can add in even more information if you'd like. Now, whatever you do with all of this content, the uploading of pictures, the video, what have you, if you notice, each of these categories has a circle on the right-hand side. And if you do not select it, so you have to make sure you mark it off. If you do not select it and it is not highlighted in blue, your customer doesn't see it. So if you notice, I have a video here, but because I don't have it checked off, when the customer goes to the portal profile that I have, there's no video. Okay, so you need to make sure that not only are you uploading the content, but that you're also checking it off on the right-hand side and deciding what you would like to appear. And then you're going to go ahead and make sure you save. So now that this is done, we can actually take some of this and basically have the system copy and paste it into your agent webpage. So portal profile is what the customer sees. It's a private page. They're the only ones who can see those results. And every customer that you email results to will see that portal profile that we just discussed. The agent webpage is public. So this could go on a business card. This could be blasted on Facebook. This could be found by anyone. It is completely public. If you don't have a website, this is a nice option for you. And so what you would do is, if you choose to use this, you're going to enable it to make sure that it's active and it can be found, or it can be visited. You can modify the URL. And so the link to the page, in my case, is https://mcmiamire.sef.mlsmatrix.com. The web page title is the title or name that appears in the tab when you open that page. But the client portal is private for that customer. So it looks a lot like it because it has the same header. But this is the public page. And so anyone who comes to visit this page can find a property, they can see information about me, and they can sign up and leave me their information. And you would get a notification from Matrix. So the webpage title is the title that appears in that tab at the top. The title, the homepage contents, you can go ahead and write out that paragraph again. However, I'm going to scroll down a little bit. What I did was I put links to my social media in there. But if you scroll down a little bit, you have your additional sections, and it tells you here that content that you have available on your portal profile can also be included on your agent webpage. So it takes some of those things you already did for the client's private portal, and it goes ahead and it inserts it into your public agent webpage. So available sections are on the left. To add them in, you're going to select them and click on the word add. You can also just double click on it. Okay, so if I wanted to include the photo and I wanted to include the contact info, I can go ahead and just double click or select an add and go ahead and add it in. The map area is going to affect how they search. So they can search the MLS, they can search listings, and you can either choose not to specify a map area. So it kind of shows them the state of Florida on the map, or when it opens the map, I should say. You can restrict the searches to a specified area on the map. So if you only work certain markets and you only want them to be able to search within those markets, you can go ahead and draw on the map and restrict it to that shape. Or you can just specify what the map will look like, but just let them search whatever they'd like. If you choose the second or third option, you have to click on Set Map Area and make sure that you set up the map to look however you'd like. You can include a sign-up form. Like I mentioned, that allows them to click sign up and leave their information for you. And you can also include a message for them to see. And then if you've purchased a domain through, GoDaddy, Wix, Squarespace, but you don't have a website yet, you just have the domain name, you can go ahead and link that to this page so that people can visit the domain that you purchased, but see the page that you created here. And if you would like to do that, it does tell you that you have to talk to your domain registrar. In other words, if you purchase the domain from GoDaddy, then you need to talk to GoDaddy and tell them what you want to do, and they'll help you with that. Okay, and then just make sure that you go ahead and you save what you've done. So now that we have all of your profile information set up and we have your portal profile and your agent webpage, let's go ahead and set up the notifications, because as I mentioned, your customers can do quite a few things in the portal. And if you don't have notifications in place, you might not know what they're doing. So let's go ahead to My Matrix and let's go to Settings, which is at the bottom of that list. And once that settings page loads, scroll to the bottom and look for the portal notification settings. So again, My Matrix, hover over it, go ahead to the bottom and click on Settings. And then go ahead and click on Portal Notification Settings. From here, what you see on the left-hand side is everything that the system is monitoring. It lets you know, or it can let you know, every time they visit the portal, every time they save a favorite or remove it, save a possibility or remove it, discard a listing or remove it from that list, add a note, save a search, or when they go into the portal for the first time. For each action that's being monitored, you have 3 options. You can email, or receive an email, I should say. You can receive an email, and that would be 1 email per action per customer. You can receive a text message. Again, it would be 1 text message per action per customer. So I'm pointing that out because if I were to select all of these checkboxes in these columns, and I have emailed 5 to 10 people in the last couple of weeks, that's a lot of emails and a lot of text messages. So these options that say ASAP, as soon as possible, I would reserve that for things that I think are most important. And that's going to differ from person to person. That's up to you. But I just want you to be mindful of that. And then all the way at the end, I have an option that would notify me through 1 email. And it is a report. It's a summary. And it's going to have a list of everyone and what they did that day. So instead of 1 email per action, it's 1 email total, with everyone listed and everything they did. So you can go ahead and select your notification options. If there is an action that you're not interested in receiving any sort of notification for, you just don't select any of the 3 notifications. You can select 1, 2, or all 3. It's up to you. In your text notification settings, this is basically where you would opt in to receive text message notifications from Matrix. So you would click here to edit your cellular information. You would supply your cell phone number. You would select your cell phone service provider, and you would click on send me a verification code. They will text message you a 4-digit code. It usually comes in pretty quickly. I already got mine, and each code is going to be personalized or individualized to each person. So do not use the code I'm using. It won't work. And then you are going to save your cellular information. To save everything that you've checked off in that top portion, all the way at the bottom, there's a button that says save with a disk or a floppy disk. Go ahead and click on save, and that's going to save the rest of the notifications that you had selected, and it brings you right back to your settings. All right, so now that we have our information set up, we have our notifications set up, we can go ahead and jump into a search. But before we do, I would recommend, I mentioned this earlier, that you save yourself as a contact, and I would recommend you use an email address that Matrix does not have on file for you. In other words, if my email here is maggie@miamire.com, when I save myself as a contact, I am not going to use that email. Matrix already knows that that email belongs to an agent, so it won't let you do certain things. And the whole point of creating yourself as a contact is basically to practice. And so you don't want to hit any walls with that. So let's go ahead and just really quickly add a contact. And we go over the contact manager in Matrix 201, which I have a little later this morning. So my Matrix contacts. Okay. And at the bottom left, there's a button that says add. So I'm going to go ahead and click on add. And you are going to add yourself, which would be your name, your last name, and your email address. There are other fields and they are optional, but the 3 fields that are highlighted in yellow are the 3 mandatory fields, required fields that you need when you're adding a contact. So minimum, you need their name and their email. So go ahead and create yourself as a contact. Plug in one of your email addresses. Remember, use an email address that the system has not seen for you before. And then just make sure you save that. Okay. So let's go ahead and let's run a search. Let's hover over search and click on RE1, RE2. Okay, so hover over search, click on RE1, RE2. We're going to search for some single family homes, and we're going to search for some single family homes, let's just say in Miami. You can use cities, zip codes, area numbers. Basically, this is set up into 3 different columns. All the way to the left is where you would select your status, your property type, and water. Does it need to be waterfront? Does it need to have a pool? That's all going to be in that first column. So status, property type, water. In the center, you have location. You can search using zip code, city, area number, the name of a subdivision, the name of a complex. All of that would be in the center. And then all the way to the right is basically the client needs, their budget, how many bedrooms, bathrooms, square footage, garage. That's most of what you see on the right-hand side. Now, if there is a field that you need to add to your search that you do not see in these 3 default columns, you can go ahead and add a field. So if you scroll down a little bit, at the end of these 3 columns, you have clear, which would delete or get rid of any criteria you had entered. It tells you the number of results. You can see the results on the map, and you have the blue button that says results to see your list of results. But then it says additional fields, and it will say add or add remove. If you click on add, it will show you on the left-hand side the fields that are available that can be added. And on the right-hand side, as you go adding them, you would see what you've selected. So let's say you needed to add in something like HOPA. HOPA is Housing for Older Persons Act. And it's basically the 55 and over communities. So if I am helping someone find a property and they are in their 30s, I need to make sure that it's not HOPA. So I would have to say no HOPA. So HOPA is listed as HOPA, which is Housing for Older Persons Act. That's the 55 and over. I search for it. When it comes up, I can click on it. And I can click on add, and it's going to go ahead and add it to the bottom of my list of selected fields. I have it down here. You can keep adding these fields. Keep in mind that just because you're adding them doesn't mean they're a part of your search. So as long as a field is blank in matrix, as long as there isn't criteria entered there, it is not part of the search. So it'll just stay there and you only use it when you need it. When you're done adding fields, you'll see that there's a button at the bottom left that says back. Click on that button. Try to avoid, as much as you can, using the arrows that are built into the browser. So in the top left, every browser, whether it's Google Chrome, Safari, Firefox, has arrows in the top left. Matrix does not respond well to those arrows, and oftentimes it'll delete your criteria or it won't save what you just did. So try to always look for the button that's built into Matrix that takes you back to the previous screen. So we're going to go ahead and run a search, and we're going to say active. I'm going to leave that. It's usually checked off by default. I'm going to say single family, single. And I have to specify because if I don't, if there's a combination of both, I'll see a combination of both single and mobile homes. In the center, I can use, like I said, zip code, city, what have you. I'm going to just say the city of Miami. And then on the right-hand side, you can include price, bed, bath. But there are some rules with these fields, and all of the fields in this column pretty much work the same way. So for example, if I were looking for a 3-bedroom property, when I type in 3, it is going to search for properties that have exactly 3 bedrooms. If I wanted 3 or more, I would say 3 plus, and it would show me properties that have 3 bedrooms or more. If I do 3 minus, that would be 3 bedrooms or less. But if I do 3-4, that's going to be listings that have 3 to 4 bedrooms. Okay, so those rules that I just mentioned apply to pretty much every field in this column. So I'm going to say 3 to 4 bedrooms. Let's say 2 to 3 bathrooms. You can use half bath as well, garage space, square footage of the living area, adjusted square footage, year built, property square footage. But let's go ahead and plug in a price. So price works the same way, and you don't have to put the 3 zeros. So if I'm looking for anything that's between $400,000 and $500,000, I just have to put 400-500. Let's go ahead and keep this pretty narrow because I'm using the city of Miami. So I'm going to look for properties that are listed between $400,000 and $415,000 that have 3 to 4 bedrooms, that have 2 to 3 bathrooms. And if you notice at the bottom left, I have 59 matches. Okay, we're going to go ahead and review those results. So we're going to click on the blue button that says results. Right, and starting from left to right, the information that you see presented here, you have checkboxes, and that's for you to select properties that you would then email or create reports for, etc. You have your numbers, so your numbered results. You have 2 small icons. The first one being pictures. So I don't have to go into the actual property or listing details. I can just go ahead and click on that icon and see the pictures. So that's that first little square. Next to that, I have a clock. This gives me the property history for this listing, how many times it's been listed in the past, and what's happened every time it's been listed. Okay, so this is not the public record. This is the MLS history for this listing. And when you're done viewing that, you can go ahead and close. Next to the clock, you have the MLS number. Clicking on the MLS number takes you into the full listing detail for that property. You have your status. They're all active because that's what we asked for. You have your area numbers. You have your address. If you click on the address, not only will it show you the property on the map, but in the top left corner, you have Google Street View. So you can actually click on Google Street View and use it to click around and look at the surrounding neighborhood. Okay, when you're done, you can close it. Next to the address, you have your subdivision column. You have arrows pointing downward and up. So anything that's pointing down is to indicate a price decrease. Anything that is pointing up indicates a price increase. You have LP, which is your list price. You have SP, which is your sold price. Because all of these listings are active and none of them have sold, there is no sold price yet. So it's going to be blank. Continuing with this table, you have number of beds, which is bedrooms. You have number of FB, which is full bath. Number of HB, which is half bath. You have your square foot living area. You have your type, your year of construction, your garage spaces, pool, WF is waterfront, your design, lot square footage, and then you have some icons at the end. The green dollar symbol is going to open up the public tax record or the information for this property through a product called Realist. The blue circle with the white eye will do the same thing through a product named IMAP. The next column, some of them have it and some of them don't, that is showing time. Not every listing agent is using showing time, but if they are, you would see this icon and you could click on it and go ahead and request a showing and showing time. The next column is a virtual tour. And then that last column is open houses. Given the recent situation, there are no open houses. Okay. Now, if I wanted to see a listing and I wanted to see the details of that listing, I could go ahead and click on the MLS number. So go ahead and choose any MLS number you want. It doesn't have to be the same one. Some of you aren't even searching. You're just watching, which is fine. And it'll open up the full listing. So I would see the pictures. I see in the top left, listing, property history, photos, but I also have the pictures built in here. You can actually click on the pictures and open them up here as well. We have the listing information. We have the location information, general information, the remarks, rooms, additional information, financial info, and then the agent. Because you're viewing this, you get to see the listing agent and the listing office. Now, along the top, you have all these small icons, okay? And they are meant to help you do things more efficiently. So if I wanted to put in an offer on this property, I could go to Form Simplicity or to Dot Loop. It would take these details, this MLS information into that product so that I can create that. But I also have my pictures, I have my map location, my property history. You have a few other products, and if you hover over them, it'll go ahead and open up the information. So you have Realist, an IMAP, Form Simplicity. You have Showing Time again. You have quite a few different icons. I see Supra, but you won't see those Supra icons unless it's your listing. But there's one icon I always like to point out, and that is this yellow triangle in the center that has an exclamation point. This is where you can go ahead, and if there is some sort of error, you can report that error, and you are reporting it anonymously. So you can go ahead and click on it. Supply the listing error. Optional, you can suggest a correction and send the error in. It is anonymous. We go ahead and we review it, and the association then contacts the listing agent and tells them that there's an error on their listing. Okay. Now, I am done viewing these details. I want to go to the next listing. I can go ahead and use the previous and next options that are at the top. If I wanted to select it, the little checkbox is here in this row of small icons. But let's say I wanted to go back to the table or the grid of results. You're going to see a little off center, something that says Agent Single Line Display. The Agent Single Line Display, you click on it, and it will go ahead and take you back to your list of results. Okay, so again, I was in a listing and I needed to return to the list of results. I would go ahead and look for that phrase that says Agent Single Line Display, where it mentions display in it. I would click, and it brings me back to my list of results. So let's talk about emailing these listings. Let's say I wanted to, after I went through the results, I want to email these 3 listings to my customer. I'm going to go ahead and check them off. So I have to select them. And then at the bottom, you have all the menu options that are available for your results. And we're going to go through a couple of them. I go through the rest of them in Matrix 201. Under Actions, you have a button that says Email. If I click on Email, it allows me to now send this to my customer. So let's say I'm going to use myself as an example. And this is where you would use yourself as an example. You can use your contact. And I'm going to go ahead and type that person's name and send it to them. I can CC someone, so copy someone. I can also, if I forgot to save them as a contact before I did this, I can create a new contact on the spot. So it allows you to do it without leaving the process and then having to return to it. You can BCC yourself a copy, so they will get a copy and then you will get a copy in your inbox. You can choose the language, English or Spanish, type in a subject. Okay, and type a message. And it can be whatever you'd like. The system will go ahead and insert that link to the portal that I had mentioned. Here's my email signature. I can edit my signature if I need to. And then at the bottom, I have 3 buttons. I can cancel. So if I change my mind, I can cancel out of this and not send them anything. I can preview. So I can see, if I click on preview, what these 3 listings will look like in the email. And then lastly, I can just go ahead and click on send. Off it goes, and I come right back to my results. So I sent those 3 listings using the email button, and that will take the customer into the client portal. If they then decide they do not like the client portal, they're uncomfortable, they don't understand how it works, you can send them a report instead. So next to the email button, there's a button that says print. If I click on print, it will give me my list of reports that are available through Matrix. But specifically, there are 3 that say client in the name. And so if you're going to send a report to a customer, you should select one of the 3 client options that are available. So there's the client multi-row, the client A photo, and the client full. I'm going to go ahead and show you the 3 so that you can see what they look like. And you wouldn't be sending them all 3. You would have a personal preference, but I just want you to see how each looks. So you have your header at the top. You have one picture, some listing details, and the remarks. Okay, this is the multi-row. So it's 1 row per property, and they would have just a little snippet of information. The client 8 photo is 1 page per property. Okay, and what they do is you've got 1 picture, listing details, remarks, additional details, and then 8 pictures at the bottom. So it's 1 page per listing. So there's listing number 1, number 2, and number 3. The client full gives them every listing detail that was entered and every picture that was entered. They will never see the listing agent. Okay, so here is this full listing, the second full listing, which as you can see can be a little overwhelming with the pictures, and then the last full listing. Minimum requirements for pictures when you're entering a listing is 1 picture. Maximum would be 100. So if your client, you send them some results and they happen to have a lot of pictures, it could be a little overwhelming. The most popular option, or the one most people seem to be most comfortable with, is the client 8 photo, because it is 1 page per listing and it has just enough information and it has a few pictures. And then if your customer is interested, you can then send them the client full, but it's up to you. At the bottom, you can email them that PDF. So you can email them that report you selected. You can print it. Okay, or if you click on preview like I did, you can go ahead and save a copy on your computer. If I click on email PDF, it's the same process pretty much, except this time, instead of sending them to the customer portal, it would go ahead and send them a link to the PDF report. So you would fill out who it's going to, you can CC someone, create a contact, you can send them the flyer in English or Spanish, your subject, your message, and then you would send it off. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and cancel out of that, and I am going to go back to the results. The last thing I'd like to show you before we end 101 is how to save the search. And when you save a search, you're not saving the results, you're saving the criteria. So I'm not saving these 59 properties that we found today. I'm saving the fact that we were looking for active single family in Miami with 3 to 4 bedrooms, 2 to 3 bathrooms that were listed between $400,000 and $415,000. Those results will vary as the days go on. And so what you're saving is that set of criteria, not the list of results. So if I wanted to save my search at the bottom where it says actions, next to actions it says refine, and then it says save. I would click on save. Of the 3 options that appear, the first one says new saved search. I would click on that. And remember, anything that is highlighted in yellow in Matrix is a required field. So the only required field here is the name of the search. So I'm going to go ahead and just name this Miami single family 400 to 415. I can also select a contact. So if I'm doing this for someone, I could organize myself even further by choosing the person from the list of contacts. If I forgot to save them as a contact, I can create a new contact. So again, I have that option. And I can also enable it as a favorite search. It does tell you that there are 10 maximum. You can save as many searches as you'd like. There are no limits to that. What you do have to be mindful of is, of all the searches you save, only 10 of them can be labeled as a favorite. And what they do is they take those 10 favorites and they put them on your home page in the widget for favorite searches. So I'm going to go ahead and save this. And once you save it, it goes right back to the search. Every search you save will be listed under My Matrix, Save Searches. Okay, so My Matrix, Save Searches. If I click, I'm going to go ahead. There's the search I just created with you guys. If I'd like the results again, I click on the search. There's a button that says results. I click on results. It will run that criteria through the system and it will give me the results once more. So again, all of your searches are housed under My Matrix, your Save Searches, where it says Save Searches. Because I chose a contact, it also tells me who I saved it for, which is optional. So I have a search up here that doesn't have a contact. That's entirely up to you. And then I also saved it as a favorite. So on my home screen, I don't have to go to My Matrix and save searches. Here are my favorite searches. Here's the search I just saved with you guys this morning. It's got a nice little shortcut on my home screen. I click, it takes me right up to the new results. Or not new, but the up-to-date results. Okay, so your searches are always, they don't have to be favorite searches, but they're always saved in saved searches. If it's a favorite, you can have up to 10 favorites, and you would see it in the widget that says my favorite searches. That is officially the end of Matrix 101. Matrix 201, we jump back into a search, but we add the map as a component. We review the rest of the actions and menu options you have at the end of the results, including the auto email, which automatically sends your customer new results. We also go through the contact manager, and we discuss what the contact manager displays. We talk about Market Watch, which I have on my screen. So we talk about Market Watch, and we talk about hot sheets as well. It's just meant to help you start to monitor your market conditions. And then we talk about reverse prospecting a little bit. So that is Matrix 201, and that is being offered this morning. So if you're interested, you can definitely log back in at 11 a.m. to catch Matrix 201. If you have any questions about what we did this morning, please feel free to use the chat option. I'm going to stay in here a few more minutes and just go ahead and answer those questions. So someone just asked, on the home screen, I see a tab that says Market Watch. Is this updated daily? This is updated. The information that you see represented in that bar graph depends on, if you look at my screen for a second, I have mine set to 24, but you can say 24 hours, today, 3 days, or 7 days. So the information that is there is updated based on the time frame that you select from this dropdown. And I go through the setup of the Market Watch and the hot sheets in 201. You're very welcome. Any other questions? When you save your search to save searches and you add a contact, I think I know where this is going. The contact doesn't see those results. Is that for someone that has access to the MLS? So when you're saving a search, you're saving that search just for yourself. You're saving it so that you can go back to it without worrying about it disappearing from recent searches or having to constantly re-enter that criteria. The customer doesn't see anything because you haven't sent them anything. You're just saving it in your device, in your system, I should say. And it is a saved search for you. Okay, so no one else sees it unless you go ahead and you start sending them those results, whether they have access to the MLS or not. You're welcome. Hope that helped. Let's see. What did you mention about the up arrow? Okay, so arrows that are pointing up mean that the list price had an increase. Arrows that are pointing down are that the listing had a price decrease. On the dashboard, if you don't know, we have Miami Realtors Live. You can go ahead and click on it. We have videos for you guys there already. We also have a YouTube channel. I'm going to go ahead and plug that information in and also leave you my contact info. So if you have any questions, you can reach out. If you can stick around for Matrix 201, I would be happy to show you guys a little bit more about Matrix. And if you can't, we still have videos, and I will go ahead and post what we do today so you can catch that later this week. Okay, thank you so much, guys, for coming. Again, it was great to have 45 of you here today. I'm glad that we can still help you guys out, even if we can't see each other face to face. Okay, so I'll see you guys in a few minutes for Matrix 201.